Well, it's that time of year again to prune my peach tree. I love pruning my peach tree. It's so much fun. So today I'm going to show you guys how to prune a peach tree. Before we get started on pruning, I want to talk about the structure of a peach tree. You want to have roughly 3 to 5 main scaffold branches starting pretty low, growing outward at a roughly 45 to 60 degree angle. And I have these scaffold branches going up and then splitting every couple feet. As you can see with these branches, they're growing more up, not at an ideal angle. The reason is because this peach tree wasn't pruned for maybe its first 5 years. So when I finally pruned it, these branches were growing more upwards. I still wanted to keep them, of course. So they've done fine. I get a little nervous about some of these. It's not structurally ideal for bearing fruit, but they've done fine so far. So now let's get into the pruning. First thing I do is clear out the middle of the tree. These water sprouts I'm going to remove. Why? Peach trees like an open vase center to get good sun penetration and good airflow. So first step is we're removing these. I got those main water sprouts out of the middle. And now I'm going to go through the rest of the tree and cut off any more water sprouts. There's some over here. And these are just not going to be ideal for producing fruit. And they will be shading other parts of the tree. And they're just going to keep growing straight up, which we don't want. I've got all the big water sprouts cut out. And what we have remaining is basically a lot of fruiting wood. This is your 1-year-old wood from last year's growth. This is what your peaches will grow on, okay? The fruiting wood, kind of the thickness of a pencil, kind of more reddish, greenish in color. This is your fruiting wood, okay? I'm gonna go through the entire tree and prune out any fruiting wood that's growing straight up. Why? This fruiting wood growing straight up will shade other parts of the tree, and it's not ideal for bearing the weight of possible peaches, okay? It's a new day. I had to stop yesterday because the lighting was not good. So here we are, the next day. I'm just finishing up cutting all the fruiting wood that is growing upward, okay? And I also want to note any fruiting wood that is kind of growing inward towards the tree as well gets eliminated. So let me show you. So branches like this right here, I cut out. These branches are growing upright and slightly inward. That guy, this guy. And we have a lot up here as well that we need to cut out that are growing straight up. So let's do that. So all fruiting wood growing up and inwards is cut out. I also forgot to mention yesterday that you will end up removing about 30 to 45% of the fruiting wood. So just go for it. And you know, some of these like small little nubs you can cut out as well. They just won't do much. Okay, so here's a good example of wanting to maintain that 45 to 60 degree outward growth. We have 2 branches right here, one growing more straight up, one growing more at an outward angle. So in this scenario, we will want to cut the one going more straight up, so the one going at a more ideal angle can take the lead. Okay, now I got most of the upright growth and growth growing inward pruned out. Now we go around the entire tree and we look for branches that are growing more at a downward angle. So for example, this guy right here, you see it's growing downward. This will potentially be shaded by other parts of the tree, and it won't have enough strength to bear the weight of fruit. So we're gonna cut this guy. If I can get through it, boom. Same with this guy right here. It's growing at a downward angle. You know, honestly, this whole branch could probably be cut out. It's not too strong. And that's another thing to look for when you walk through your peach tree, you know, seeing like weak limbs or old limbs. This guy, more I look at it, could probably be cut out. So, like I said, we're gonna cut out any growth that is growing more at a downward angle or that is on the underside of the main scaffold branches. So if you have like this guy right here, where it's not necessarily growing downward, but it's gonna be shaded a lot. So we're gonna cut out all the branches that will be shaded. This won't be ideal for fruit production. So go through the whole tree. Boom, we have that little guy, we have this guy. Let's get it. Okay, so I have pruned out most of the upright fruiting wood that could be shading, and the fruiting wood that's growing downward that could be shaded and is not ideal for bearing the weight of the fruit. So now what we have left is basically all the fruiting wood that's growing laterally off the main branches. And these are your ideal fruiting wood, okay? Like I said earlier, fruiting wood is kind of like the thickness of a pencil. And you'll be able to distinguish it pretty well. But we're gonna prune even more of the fruiting wood off. We kind of want to prune to where there's enough room in between fruiting wood for a fully developed peach. So when I do this, I kind of just go through the entire tree, envision a fully developed peach on a piece of fruiting wood, and then I kind of go from there, like, oh yeah, this branch is too close, I need to cut that one out, and so on. Here's what a piece of fruiting wood looks like. You know, there's some green, there's some red, purplish, kind of thickness of a pencil, and this one's a nice length. But you can see, so right here we have two fruit buds, and then right in the middle there's like a thin little bud. That's your leaf bud. So right here we have two fruit buds where your peaches will form, and then right in the middle we have your leaf bud. Okay, so once you have created good spacing in between the remaining fruiting wood, then you'll go back through and head off about a third of all of the fruiting wood to help stiffen that branch so it's strong enough to hold those peaches. Head back all the fruiting wood, about a third, preferably to an outward growing bud, so you can continue that 45 to 60 degree angle. This one right here, boom, 1/3 back. We have this branch right here, it's growing pretty straight up, but when we head it back to an outward growing bud, then it should shoot out more like that. This one, cut back right there. Okay, this is what the final product should somewhat look like. We removed all the water sprouts. We cleared out the middle for good sun penetration and airflow. We pruned out all the upright fruiting wood that could be shading other parts of the tree and just to maintain the height. And then all the fruiting wood growing more at a downward angle or that is more shaded, we removed all of those as well. And then we have the ideal fruiting wood growing laterally off the main branches, and we space those out so there's enough room in between for peaches to fully develop, and then we maintain that 45 to 60 degree outward growth that these peach trees love. So that is how you prune a peach tree. Here we are 1 week later and my peach tree is in full bloom. Bees buzzing, beautiful sight. I thought I would share a bit of history of my peach tree. I'm thinking it's around 10 years old. It was here when we moved in. I'm not quite sure the exact age, but I'm thinking around 10 years old. It wasn't pruned for probably its first 5 years of its life. First time I pruned it was back in 2021. And I've pruned it ever since. We've only gotten peaches out of it 2 times out of the past 6 years. But being in Colorado and living at 6,800 feet, that's not too bad, okay? 2 years ago, it was a fantastic crop. I mean, tons of peaches. I had to thin out a lot. We got, I think, over 100 to ourselves. Squirrels and birds got a lot as well. And then last year, there wasn't as many blooms, but still not too bad. But then it was in full bloom. Mid-April comes around, hard freeze with snow. That killed off around 90% of all the blooms. So we were left with around 18 peaches, and the squirrels got almost all of those. No matter what I did, those squirrels found a way. They're unstoppable. It is so annoying. Especially, they run along this fence here. So it's just right here, they see the peaches, and they get all sucked into the tree, and boy, not good. So yeah, last year we only had a couple to ourselves. And here we are this year. It's in full bloom, and it's mid-March. That's not good. We are a whole month ahead of schedule. And I say that's not good because here in Colorado, we are bound to get a couple more snows and for sure some more hard freezes. But who knows? This winter and spring have been crazy weird, warm, mild, dry. We'll see. As someone who loves snow, it pains me to say this, but I would be fine with no more snow and no more hard freezes for the rest of this season. Just so I can have a lot of peaches. But April is our second snowiest month, so yeah, it's gonna be hard to avoid. But yeah, so that's the history of my peach tree. I love it. It's my friend. No matter if it doesn't produce peaches, it still makes me happy. So bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Hopefully I'll have a video late summer showing all the peaches I have.